Hello, welcome to the Gift and Home channel. My name is Cinda Baxter and I'm your host for this segment titled Promotional Partners Right Under Your Nose. I own a store in Minneapols called Details Inc., buying stationery, invitations, and gifts. And this last 13 years has taught us a lot about where we can find promotional partners. You want to look at the people that you order your product from, your reps and your vendors. They're going to be the people who are not only most knowledgeable about the lines, but they've got access to all sorts of materials that you can use, creative ideas, and with the case of your reps, they're in lots of stores and they see what works and they see what doesn't. You want to think about working outside the box. Now, we've all heard of a trunk show. They can be a bit of a yawn sometimes. If you find the right line and you work with the vendor, you can actually have a pretty spectacular trunk show for very, very little overhead, if any. We did an event several years ago with the jewelry line called Patricia Locke. She had never done trunk shows at that point, but went ahead and gave us a shot. We did it after hours, brought in champagne and lovely hors d'oeuvres and cookies, and invited a room full of our favorite customers. All the pretty jewelry was out, twinkling and sparkling away. We sold a massive amount of jewelry as special orders that night, so all the samples were able to go back to the vendor unharmed, while we were able to place an order much larger than we could have done on our own. That was wonderful, being able to work hand in hand with the with the vendor like that. Now, you can also talk to them about donating product. For instance, when we first opened, we decided that we wanted to have a drawing for a number of different items. Cranes being one of our largest lines, that was one of the first companies that we went to. They graciously said, hey, no problem. You know, we were expecting maybe some box stationery. What they came up with is 100 engraved notes, monogram on the front, return address on the back of the envelope. It was a high enough price point that the value was great for the customer. Cranes got publicity from it. We got a lot of traction from it, and everybody really won. It was an easy thing to do, something I wouldn't have considered if I hadn't talked to our rep and then to the vendor about it. You want to think about asking reps or vendors to help co-host events if possible. We have a couple of reps that live here in the Twin Cities, so that when we're able to do an event of some kind that really features their product, they're able to come in and talk to the customers, tell the story, romance the product line. That always helps light a customer up. If they understand more about what they're holding in their hand and what's in the box, it makes it personal. It puts human beings back into the mix. Again, using cranes as a reference, whenever we have any kind of a promotion that involves cranes, we like to tell the crane story and explain that it's the oldest paper maker in the United States. They're 100% in cotton, which makes it fully renewable and one of the most green lines on the planet. If gentlemen aren't particularly lit up at that point, then we explain to them that U.S. currency is all printed on Crane's paper, and 9 out of 10 times we'll see a guy go, oh, and then all of a sudden we've got him engaged. I happen to think I have the greatest rep on the planet with my Cranes rep. Chris Gleason out of Chicago can do no wrong in my world. And whenever he's in the room with a customer, he talks to the customer, he treats them like gold, and inevitably we make a sale. He knows how to romance the line, but more importantly, he knows how to romance the customer, and he does it with honesty and integrity. If you can find a rep and build that kind of a relationship, that connection to your customers is invaluable. You want to also think about ideas and brainstorming. And again, this is where you're going to lean on your rep more than your vendor. They're in lots and lots of different stores, and they see what works and what doesn't. Now, while I would never ask a rep to give me specifics about another promotion in another store with the idea that I was going to copy it, because I feel that really does cross a line, several lines, truth be told. If I've got ideas or if we want to brainstorm things, he's going to know if someone else has tried it and if it didn't work or it did work. Or maybe here's what we can do, but let's tweak it to make it different from what other stores have done. That kind of set of eyes roaming around out in the world on your behalf is really useful. Just be very careful not to cross any lines that put your rep in an awkward position or to start duplicating something other stores have done, because you need to be unique. You don't want to be a copycat. Also look at your displays and think about your materials that you have to hand customers. Ask your reps and vendors for what they have for display pieces. Quite often within the stationery, if we're buying boxed invitations, we're going to want a loose sample of each of those so that we can imprint them ourselves with typefaces that we provide customers, and then put those on the shelf as part of the display. If it's something like Crane's invitations, where we have them in the sample albums, we like to have loose samples so that then we can put them in a glass-topped coffee table that we have in the center of the store. It really showcases the line well, but we obviously can't peel things right out of our album. It's a really good hand-in-hand promotion, and the vendors work great with it. Those same kind of pieces can go into your front windows if you've got display windows. And you want to be sure that if you do, you're turning that merchandise around fairly quickly, because things will fade if you've got natural sunlight. So basically, you want to just think long-term, but think outside your box. Think about the relationships that you've got with your vendors and your reps. Consider them partners in the promotional process. And have some fun. They've got great ideas, you've got great ideas. This could be a blast. Cinda Baxter, thanks for watching, and we're going to jump into our next segment, reaching out through community events.